I'm going to do this in English. We agreed with the team that the sessions are going to be held in English, but as you can see, judged by my name, I will be able to answer any questions in Hungarian, just like Tamás do. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Thanks for inviting me, Stormy team, and thank you for coming here. I'm going to talk about my favorite piece of technology at AWS, which is Edge Services. Real quick, I'm based out of London. I'm with AWS since 5.5 years, but I'm actually in the content delivery, cybersecurity and media delivery business since about 17 years now. So I've been working for a number of content delivery companies, and this is really my passion, and you'll hear that I'm very happy to speak about this. So let's face it, guys, today most companies and most businesses run and operate on the internet, on some kind of web application, web interface or browser, right? So in your everyday life, you do your shopping online, you bank online, you buy insurance online, you arrange your travels online, you watch content, you play online, you even sometimes bet online, do gaming online. This offers tremendous advantages for businesses because they can really collapse everything they do to one single point of sales, basically. But this also exposes them to a bunch of challenges and threats. And when you move your business online, and then as a second step, you move your online business onto the cloud, the infrastructure onto the cloud, you have to address these challenges. And these challenges include a variety of things from cost, scale, competitiveness, performance of the site, security, of course, right? And this is what we are going to talk about today. Here, this is data from a small boutique research firm called RSR Research, and they specialize their work on retail. And these numbers and these graphs show you basically one important message: how important website performance is for retailers. It's quite intuitive to understand that every millisecond and every second of load time, additional load time, and how much you have to wait is going to reduce your conversion of your customers. The longer you have to wait, the more likely it is that shoppers are going to switch over to a competitive site, right? Now this waiting time, this bounce rate basically impacts your business, impacts the efficiency of your business, your brand, right? And the more a company relies on the online business, the more it is going to impact it. Here you can see this very, very visibly. This is another aspect because a slow site is still better than a down site, right? If the site is completely down, then there's nothing. And there are malicious bad actors out there on the internet who are out after you, right, after your site, and they will launch volumetric attacks. We'll talk about those later on different layers to exhaust your resources, the network resources, the web server resources, or the application itself, or and these will exhaust all the available resources to a level where basically the site is down and no legitimate user can access it. And when this happens, obviously, every minute of downtime costs a very easily quantifiable number of amount. Here you can see how much it costs per minute for some of the leading e-commerce sites. Obviously, us included, Amazon.com, our retail business is included here, and this is a huge number. We are huge. Amazon.com is huge, and all of our business is online. So we are very, very 100% exposed to that and impacted by this. So this needs to be addressed. Now, let's assume that you use really cool technologies and smart people to mitigate all that. Your performance is top-notch. You manage and handle the volumetric attacks on your site, right? But you have something really, really valuable for attackers to attack. Basically, it only depends on how bad they want to get through to your site. If they really, really want to get through to your site, they are going to start spending money, and they are going to spend money on bots. And these bots are, try to mimic human behavior and act as legitimate users. one of the main problems is some of these are not even illegal, right? So creating a bot to do manual job is not illegal. So in most industries, we face the problem like they can legally do that and still it costs us money and we lose control. And in each industry, there are different types of valuable assets and aspects why attackers go after you. For example, in betting and gaming, they offer sign-up bonuses, and if with the help of a bot you can get that, you can squeeze money out of the company. In retail, like there are the high frequency sales where you sell limited edition items. They go in with bots, open fake shopping carts, and buy up the entire stock before any legitimate user can get through. Limited edition, Jordans, for example. Before a human can get on the site, the bots are going to buy it all up and sell it on eBay at like 3 times the price. So in each industry, there's a special reason for why attackers will go after you and try to get through and do something unintended with your content. Here's a little example of what happens when there's on a gaming and betting site. It's a betting site. Bonus abuse bots, and what is happening. First, the malicious actors go out, obviously, scrape the dark web and buy a bunch of credentials. Then they use these credentials with the help of bots, going to open fake accounts. Now, they will go through the know your client process, sometimes with the help of humans, sometimes it can also be automated with bots. And now the sophisticated bots can actually fake IDs as well with the help of AI. So the attackers are using the latest and greatest technology to fake IDs. So they go through this process. Once they are in, they will grab the sign-up bonus, no matter what it is, like 5 quid in the UK, those sites offer you 5 to 10 quid the sign-up bonus. They will play that on a safe bet, right? They will cash it out and disappear and start over, and they will do this 1,000 times. So they invest a little money in the bot and the AI maybe, and they will use that 1,000,000 times, as many times as possible and necessary to benefit from it. Now, this is what's out there on the wild, wild west of the internet. This is what's happening. And, I want to show you what we at AWS, with the help of our partners like Stormit, can offer you to mitigate that. There's no such thing as 100% security, and security is not a one-off job. It's a continuous, everyday job. That's why we recommend to work with partners, for example. But we have the tools to do that. We have the technology and the tools. We have worked, obviously, for like 20 years with our retail brands and e-commerce site, and then later on the media as well, and other brands, to support these brands and platforms, and we learned how to optimize and secure these web assets and applications. And we use this knowledge and transform it into these products, and we focus on these 5 areas where we think we need to really go deep in and offer the depth of the features and services to offer you all the choice to properly set up these web applications. Again, we talked about security, performance, scalability is super, super important, and this is one of the big differentiators between on-prem and cloud. Scalability is one of the most important differentiators, because on the cloud, you don't have to purchase resources up to the peak utilization and then keep paying for it even if your usage goes down. The cloud auto scales up and down, and this is true throughout the day, throughout the year, if your traffic has some seasonality. But it is also true to when a company, a brand would like to enter a new market. It's really easy to enter new markets for different types of services if you're on the cloud, because you don't need to deploy everything once again. You just use the existing resources, you localize the content obviously, and tune it to the local regulations, but you can enter a market, and if it doesn't work, you can pull back at very little to no cost. And that's a very, very important differentiation. Flexibility. The speed of innovation is not on this side, but I would like to highlight it because just like with scalability I mentioned, if you want to try something new, if you're not on the cloud, you have to, again, buy new servers, network gear, software licenses, in some cases, etc., spin up new database instances. On the cloud, we just, on the same account, we open another account, and you have access to all these services without having to commit and put money in for long term and lock that potential capex in there, right? Just go in, try something. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you shut it down and you try a new thing. So this flexibility in innovation is a very important differentiation. Now, it's not going to be new to you how it works. You are probably, some or most of you are more techy than I am. I'm more on the business side. I just want to walk you through the content delivery process real quick because this will help us to identify how the different pieces of our portfolio helps you to secure the site and improve performance, availability, and scalability. So here's the guy on the left side who would like to access a web application. Now on the right side you see the origin. It is now indicated AWS, but very important, it can be a non-AWS resource that you use as an origin server, right? So here we are now using a CDN. The request goes in, it goes through many different hops, right? We don't know how and where. And every time there is a hop, we introduce a performance degradation. It will slow it down. And we also introduce a new risk surface, right? So the performance and the security will suffer if you do this. It's not optimal. And we remember what I said earlier about the retail sites. Every millisecond, every second of wait time, you're going to reduce your conversion. Now, the end result is not really good for you, nor for the customer. For you either, because you also have to manage every single request on your end. You have to build your origin and all the resources for that. Now, enter the CDN. Bam. What happens when you use a CDN, a content delivery network, is basically we will take over, we will shield the origin, and the CDN is going to be the entry point for the request, right? For each request when it comes in, we will serve it out of cache, or we will be the only ones talking back to the origin server if it's a dynamic piece of content or API call, instead of everybody else going back there. So a number of things happen here. First of all, you can see that we will collect the number of requests hitting the origin server. It has a huge impact on how large you have to build and scale the origin infrastructure. Instead of having to build the infrastructure to the peak utilization and even overbuild it to whatever standards you have, you can collapse it down to like 20% of the original size, because only the CDN is going to talk back to your origin and fetch original pieces of content if it's a cacheable or static or dynamic piece of content. So this has a major impact on the cost of the origin. It also has a major impact on the security, because the CDN is going to act as the first layer in protection and will shield the origin. Now, obviously, when this happens, we address the performance issue by caching the content very close to the end users and storing it out of cache. So the performance is going to dramatically improve, both for static and dynamic content, by the way. And we can also address the security issue not only by shielding the origin with the CDN, which is like step one, but also we deploy our security services at the edge of our network. So DDoS mitigation, web application firewall, bot mitigation will all be available, happening on the edge, very far from the origin, before anything even reaches the origin. So basically you push out and decentralize this defense. And obviously the AWS available, the size of the resources, the sheer size of the network is something that no single customer could compare to. So this offers a really robust security layer. the last piece of the puzzle is we can also add intelligence at the edge. We have edge compute features as features of our content delivery network CloudFront. You can use Lambda Edge or platform functions to optimize the content behavior at the edge. So you can actually even run smaller scripts now on the edge using key value functions on the edge servers to make the delivery smarter, to personalize the delivery, to improve security, to store some values there, for example, for authentication, etc. So you can make your content delivery much smarter, which then will improve the user experience, which then will improve your conversion rate and improve your business. That's the whole idea behind it, right? Now, the services we use for that is our Edge technology, Edge suite. Our content delivery network is called Amazon CloudFront. Amazon CloudFront is a huge global network. I'll show the chart later. Actually, it's hard to keep up to date with this chart because they always add new pops, so I have to update this like every second week, but this is giant number. And our content delivery network has those edge compute features called Lambda Edge and CloudFront functions where you can deploy those edge compute pieces. And then built around that and actually running at the same edge locations in the same racks basically is our perimeter protection suite. One for the first piece is for volumetric attacks and transport DDoS attacks. And then we have our web application firewall engine that runs a number of different things from layer 7 DDoS mitigation through web vulnerability protections to bot mitigation. And web application firewall is actually a cool way to manage security posture across multiple accounts for enterprises and compliance. So you can do things like deploy a predefined set of security and WAF rules across all the different accounts you have, manage access rights, etc. So this is a very important tool for larger customers who need this kind of compliance view. Another cool aspect is that CloudFront is probably the only one service that you can start using without actually migrating or moving anything to the cloud, right? So if you're currently not using AWS or any cloud and you want to start, many customers start their cloud journey by using CloudFront. Why? Because without having to move anything, you just actually CNAME your IP address over to the CDN, and from there on, all the requests are going to start hitting the CDN instead of the origin. Now, just like I explained, it will have a very huge and immediate impact on how content is being handled and served to your end customers. So even while you're on-prem, you're starting to use the cloud service of CloudFront, which will allow you to deploy the layered perimeter protection, WAF, DDoS mitigation, bot mitigation, etc. You can, while doing that, you can start to scale down your origin and reduce the infrastructure problem to a size which is much more manageable. And then, if you decide to move the origin and the rest of your infrastructure over to the cloud, it's a much easier problem. Now, in some cases, customers who decided to move to the cloud, even from those, some of them just do lift and shift and move everything over, some just will modernize and then move, or the other way around. But in some cases, you cannot move everything to the cloud. This is the hybrid setup. In some cases, in some industries, in some use cases, you have to keep some of the intelligence, the content, some workloads on-prem. Why? Because you need very low latency access to, for example, video manipulation and collaborative video manipulation. You are in finance and the corporate policies to never let go of certain data. The regulation tells you that this data can never leave your premises or the country, right? You will have to keep a certain amount of data or intelligence on-prem or at a certain location, but no one said that you can't move the rest of it, the rest of the infrastructure, for example, the application, some of the database, some of the compute functions on the cloud to benefit from the power and the cost efficiency, the scaling effect, and the access to innovation on the cloud, right? So in this case, we set up a hybrid environment where you keep the sensitive data and pieces on-prem and you move everything else to the cloud. And CloudFront will be able to seamlessly shield and work with both. So on-prem, hybrid, or on cloud are all available with edge services, and this is what we see in many cases across all industries. Now, at the beginning I already scared you with all the security threats, and there's just like 1% of it. But I wanted to just walk you through the different layers in security that we address with our perimeter protection portfolio. And it starts with volumetric attacks, and basically like 65% of those are happening on the network layer. Those are types like ICMP floods or UDP floods. They will target and try to exhaust your network resources. These days, those are actually, they are happening all the time. They are actually relatively easy for us to identify and handle, so this is happening, but they're still there, and they still need attention. Then the next like 20% is happening on the transport layer, and these are the attacks to target your web servers and try to exhaust them with like SYN floods or egg floods. They basically, like, imagine they'll open a TCP connection and try to keep it alive by sending little pieces of data to never let it close, and then until the point where they exhaust all these resources available. And then the last 15%-ish of these volumetric attacks, but probably the most important 15%, by the way, is happening on the application layer. Here, the attackers are targeting the application itself, and again, we'll try to overload it with HTTP floods. Now, sometimes when we see that, we know that this is happening because they are cooking something else much bigger in the background. They will be looking, they are scraping the site and exhausting the site until they find something that they can attack and specifically target. And then they go after the web application itself, or the underlying CMS, for example. These are the web application vulnerabilities. And like cross-site scripting or SQL injections and stuff like that, right? And then, like I said, we can use all kinds of techniques to, we have to be very careful with these, everything in application layer, because you can't just brute force and block everything out that looks suspicious, because many of those are going to be legitimate users, and you have to make sure you don't lock them out, because you're losing business every time you lock a legit user out. Okay, brand damage, angry customer, but they're not spending a penny, right? So these are all on this layer very sensitive to that. And so are the last category, bots. Like I told you earlier, it's even more tricky because many of these bots are not illegal. Many of these bots really look like bots that your partners would use. Here's an example. An airline might have an agreement with a company who uses bots and gets pricing through, for example, APIs. Now, a bot can mimic this behavior and buy up a bunch of tickets and then sell them. And this is really example. I'm not going to name names, but we've been working and dealing with this problem a lot over the past couple of years. Bots are going in, purchasing tickets, so there's nothing illegal about it. They pay for it, right? Now, why this is dangerous for the airline? Because the airline runs a very expensive pricing engine on the back end. AI and all these smart people are working on tuning this engine to the level where if you go in and look up Budapest to Milan right now, and you come back an hour later, the engine will know that you're desperate to buy this, right? They are not going to drop the price. They are going to start increasing the price and signaling you that there are less and less tickets. Now, if the bot comes in and purchases a ticket in the first instance, you lose visibility and control and a lot of money, right? So that's one of the tricky situations when the behavior is not even illegal, but it is actually damaging for the business. So really, it's very tricky. Now, global threat intelligence is by the way, I have to point out that our much smarter techie people in the afternoon are going to provide this, a workshop for you where they walk you through the steps of these and the different layers of defense. So I encourage everyone who runs some kind of application that is exposed to the internet to stick around in the afternoon, go through the workshop. It's very interesting, it's very fun, and you will learn how it is actually done in real life. Now, moving on, MatBot. We deployed this at towards the end of the 2010s years. This is a network of decoys or honeypots, basically. We have about 10,000. I don't have a lot of time, so I'll just go ahead. This is really cool. We deployed a network of honeypots to attract malicious actors, and this way we gain insight into who they are, what they are trying to do, where they are, etc., etc. Now, they will go ahead and share this with our own, obviously, own services, and we'll update our AWS Shield defense mechanisms and WAF rules, etc., etc. But we will also do something even cooler. We will alert customers who are impacted. We will alert our customers who are not impacted, but we think they will be targeted. And the coolest, and I'm most proud of this, we will even alert companies who are not our customers if we see a signal through this threat intelligence that they are targeted. So we don't care if they are AWS customers, we'll just go ahead and tell them, hey guys, you're being targeted. How to protect against bots using, I don't know if you guys will go into details about bots, but it is part of the stack. Basically, our bot rules are running inside our web application firewall engine right now. So obviously, set up the basic rule groups, IP reputation rules, core rule sets, known bad bots, so basically the signature, we know the known bot signatures. Set those up in WAF, and then go ahead and set up or enable our targeted bot, which is an AI-backed targeted bot rule set running inside the WAF engine, but it is priced differently. And then, like I said, this is not a one-off job. You will have to keep looking at logs and monitor what's happening, but these are the basic techniques. And in the afternoon, you can hear a lot more about security postures. I'm not going to explain you everything on this, but just I want to share one fact with you. I was working for another CDN, a couple other CDNs before I joined AWS, and for many years I kept selling against CloudFront because it wasn't really up to the standards of the industry in general, until a point in time and Amazon realized that without the edge being robust and really large in terms of capacity and feature set, no matter what you build, it will suck. Because if the edge doesn't work, nothing works. It will ruin the good work that you put in the application, the content, everything else. So they started to pour money. When I joined this company, we had 100 POPs. Now we have 700 major POPs, and we have another 600 or 700 embedded caches, which are deeper into the networks, spread across the world. We have, I think, 8,000 or 9,000 connected networks. So there is no network where we are not on net. Practically none. It's spread across the world. This is really an awesome work, and these are not like $1,000 POPs. Each and every dot on that map is a multi-million-dollar investment. This is how important it is for Amazon and AWS to improve this infrastructure and this technology. And last, I'm going to close with that. Time is up, I guess.
No, I just sorry to interrupt. If you can go back, because I think it's also really useful to mention that since 2019 is also one in Budapest.
Oh yes, we have POPs across the region. We have POPs almost in each country here. And I want to close with a couple of examples. Tinder had this performance issue. Obviously, they are a global brand. They have to perform really well everywhere. I don't know, never used the app, but I'm told that there's a dynamic piece to it, and it has to be super fast and super well performing. There were corners of the world where it didn't happen, obviously, because it's hard to reach, and the latency was so bad that no one wanted to use the service, referring back to the earlier slide. And this is what they address with enabling CloudFront and using that for this static as well as dynamic delivery. They dramatically reduce the latency to reach the site. Retail, Zalando, I think a German-based huge brand, they also had performance issues. Now in retail, what matters is basically it has to be super fast, it has to be super good quality. So image optimization, for example, in retail is quite key, because no matter what device you're using to look at a site, the images that you show have to be top-notch, because if the shoe doesn't look good, then your wife is not going to buy it, which might be good for some of you, but for the ladies and for Zalando, it's not great, right? So this is also doable through a feature of CloudFront. Another one from the gaming industry, Supercell had to solve the problem of delivering content and updates, and at the same time protect not only the application and the content itself, but the user data and the user sessions. So this is a problem, is a combination of performance as well as security that they were able to address through CloudFront and the perimeter protection features built around the edge. In media, this is quite obvious, I guess. Media was the power user from the beginning of content delivery networks, because you had to push out and cache as much as possible. Current streaming technologies use chunk content, as you guys know, so they are all cacheable. Maybe the manifest is something that you can't cache, but the rest is, and that's why they are the power users. They are pushing the largest volumes, and Prime Video is one of our toughest customers. And you might think that they have the policy of only using AWS and CloudFront. I can tell you this is not the case. Every 3 months we have to go in and fight for the content and make sure that we show the best performance. Otherwise, you're going to use other CDNs, which they drop their pants in terms of pricing and offer top-notch quality and features. So it's not an obvious game, but we are happy to claim the largest share of this traffic. But we don't only do this for our own media assets, we do this for HBO Max, for example, and I think a good half of the European broadcasting industry is using CloudFront as well, so this is not a one-off. Here's another interesting 1 minute, and I'll be done. The vultures are circling around me already here. Honda is using CloudFront to make sure that there's an excellent user experience for the Build Your Car feature that all the car brands are really keen to offer, because this is the experience you expect. If you go in and spend a lot of money on a new car, you want to build your own little thing. And that's actually a quite resource-intensive process, so CloudFront can help cache and accelerate the dynamic pieces of this. This is a travel site. So travel sites in our world are not really much different from another retail site. The thing you sell is different. It's not a shoe, it's a ticket, right? But they are super sensitive again, because you can go from TUI to yet another booking site and purchase the same thing. So there are so many options out there on your phone with a couple of clicks. So if the TUI site doesn't work properly, in 2 minutes you are already purchasing a ticket on another site. So performance is really, really important here as well. And this is a cool one. So you can read this quote from Daisy about how CloudFront is used here in this vending machine scenario, which is, you would think, hey, this might actually be an IoT application, not a content delivery. But they use CloudFront to accelerate the dynamic communication here. You read a code, and then the code will connect you with the machine. You punch a couple of buttons, and the machine is going to pour a drink for you according to the things you selected in your mobile. And this is now happening in like 200 milliseconds, all in. on CloudFront. So this is a cool example of how this technology is being used. And that's what I wanted to show you. There you will hear a lot more interesting things. Security, we'll talk about security a lot today. I'm happy to answer questions now, but you can just find me later in the break if you want to connect or need more. I'll answer. Thank you very much.